Sorry, let's just forget about our conversation this time. I've been single my whole life, and it's been about 6 months since I registered at a matchmaking agency. During that time, I've been turned down by women a total of 6 times. Well, if it's okay, can you tell me what put you off? Was it my age, or maybe my income? I wanted to know what I did wrong this time, so I asked the woman I was meeting with. No, I'm 35 and I don't mind that you're 43. I think you earn pretty well. It's not those two things. It's just what? Well, I don't know how to put this, but something about you doesn't really click with me. Oh, I see. I'm sorry. Upon hearing the woman's words, I let out a sigh, really? And I said, thank you, to her, then paid the entire bill for our coffee at the cafe. It's a rule at the matchmaking service I'm part of that the man pays for the coffee. By the way, the fact that men pay more is also true for the monthly membership fee. Men have to pay 3 times as much as the female members. I make a decent salary for a regular employee, but it still feels like a significant expense. My name is Brian, a 43-year-old bachelor. The number of years I've been single matches the years I've lived. In a desperate attempt to change my life's course, I joined the matchmaking service, but every woman I meet says the same thing. There's something about you that just doesn't sit right with me. I've scoured books on dating etiquette, and I always make sure I look presentable. Yet, here I am. What am I supposed to do from now on? I half whined to my coworker, Tom, as I usually do. Hey, calm down, everything will work out. At the bar, he gave me a reassuring pat on the back. By the way, this guy, he's happily married with 3 kids. It'll work out, you say. I don't want to hear that from someone as happy as you. With a wry smile, Tom added, my wife and I, we're like 2 peas in a pod. The moment we met, we both just knew. Is there really such a thing as a destined meeting? I believe there is. We've built a happy family. Heck, our eldest is about to go to middle school. Look, Tom showed me a picture on his phone of his child. But when I saw that picture, my eyes were drawn to a woman standing next to Tom's daughter. Who's that? I asked. That's my daughter's teacher, Catherine. Pretty, isn't she? But believe it or not, she's almost 40. Yet, she's still single. I feel like I've seen her somewhere, or maybe not. Suddenly, I felt a strange connection with this woman. Did you feel something? Maybe. I think I might have. I wonder why. Oddly enough, I found myself missing that woman named Catherine Smith. Strange, isn't it? I've never even met her. Should we consider a matchmaking date then? A matchmaking date? Yes. Apparently, she's been getting quite a few offers, but she hasn't found anyone she really clicks with. She mentioned it in passing during a meeting. Well, maybe it's fate. If she's okay with it, can we arrange it? I'll reach out to her tomorrow to see. Tom seemed really excited about the idea. Even after I stopped looking at her picture on my phone, I couldn't get her face out of my mind. That feeling persisted even after I got home. There was no one else at home to distract me. Up until the year before last, returning home would clear my mind. I'm home, Mom. I told my mother's photo, which was placed on the family altar. My mom, whom I lived with up until 2 years ago, had fallen ill and passed away all too suddenly. That's when I started seriously considering marriage. Perhaps it's a regret for not letting her see her grandchild, or maybe I just can't bear being alone. Besides marriage hunting, there was another thing I had been doing. Oh, the PA agency is calling. Hello, I see. Still no lead, huh? The call was about my twin brother, who's still missing. I have a twin brother. However, he was given up for adoption when we were very young, and I have no idea where he is now. Since finding out about my mom's illness, I've been using several PI agencies to try and locate him, but to no avail. I wish I could have at least let you meet him, I whispered, gazing at my mother's photo. Mom raised us all by herself. I don't really remember our father. He left us when we were very young. Mom worked tirelessly ever since, which eventually took a toll on her health. Raising my brother and me with her condition was challenging, and my mom, having no relatives, was advised by a close friend to consider adoption. Reluctantly, she decided to give up my brother for adoption. Despite being a child, my brother understood the situation. He said, "I'm the older one, so I can handle being away from mom. I can get along with a new mom and dad, so I'll go to a new home." I still remember the image of my brother offering himself for adoption. Later, I heard the adoptive parents moved abroad for work, and we lost touch with them. Now, I have no idea where he is. Brother, even if I call out, my missing brother won't answer. Tears welled up in my eyes, and I wiped them away. Not long after, the day of my matchmaking date with Catherine arrived surprisingly soon. She herself had responded, expressing her keen interest to meet me. From what Tom said, she had lived abroad for quite some time and was a very straightforward and efficient lady. I heard she'd never been married. The matchmaking date was set at a hotel restaurant, with Tom accompanying us. Upon reaching the hotel lobby for our meetup, the two of them were already there. Catherine looked even more beautiful and youthful than her pictures. I was captivated by her for a moment. After she took a long, hard look at my face, she nodded slowly. We took our seats at the restaurant, exchanged greetings, and introduced ourselves. All the while, she kept staring intently at my face. No, it wasn't just staring. It felt like she was drilling holes with her eyes. "What's going on? It's just a matchmaking date, but being stared at like this is making me nervous. I wonder if there's something on my face or something's wrong." Tom was looking at her with a curious expression. After the introductions, time flew smoothly, with Tom keeping the mood lively. She had a cheerful personality and was easy to talk to. Tom's cell phone rang midway, so he excused himself, leaving the two of us alone in the room. Suddenly, she looked serious and asked, "Hadn't we met before?" I told her I felt the same, but when Tom came back, she fell silent. We then decided on the next day to meet and agreed to go out for dinner. I booked the barbecue place she had mentioned, making sure we had a private room to chat comfortably. No sooner had I taken my seat than she eagerly began speaking. "Just as I thought. You look just like my bro, Steve. You're his spitting image." That's what she said to me. Excuse me, I didn't understand what she meant. "How do you know my brother's name?" Upon asking that, she shared an astonishing story. "Well, it's not about knowing. Steve is my adopted brother." What? I couldn't believe my ears. What does she mean? She's Steve's sister. How is that possible? I couldn't grasp the situation. "But why do you two look so alike?" Catherine stared at me intently before continuing. "Do you remember? We met once when we were kids. I was there the day your brother left his biological family." "Oh, the little girl from back then," I recalled upon hearing Catherine's words. "The day I parted ways with my brother. The family that took my brother in had a little girl with them. That's why when I saw your picture on my phone, it clicked. Same for me. It clicked when I saw your photo. I wanted to meet you. I wanted to meet you." We said the same words in unison. Realizing how in sync we were, we both burst out laughing. She avoided discussing it during the matchmaking date because she wasn't sure how much Tom was aware of the situation. "So, how's Steve doing? I lost contact with your family. I've tried hiring private investigators to find him, but with no luck. I wanted to tell him about our mom's passing. If it's okay, I'd like to meet him." Saying that, she looked downcast and lowered her gaze. "Is it hard for you to say about Steve?" Catherine remained silent, looking down. "What happened to my brother? Please, tell me." With a sorrowful look, Catherine told me about my brother's current situation. "Steve has leukemia." "What? Leukemia?" Catherine softly uttered the name of the disease my brother was suffering from. When I heard that word, I was reminded of the day we lost our mom. I was consumed with fear that my brother might pass away just like our mom. Leukemia isn't incurable. It's a treatable disease. But we can't seem to find a compatible donor. I was tested but was not a match. We've lost both our parents, so he's the only family I have left. I desperately want to help him. Tears spilled from Catherine's eyes. The next day, I took a day off from work and rushed to the hospital. When I opened the door to the room, there was my brother, sleeping on the bed. Even as we got older, our faces remained strikingly similar. And incredibly, our reunion was able to save my brother from his illness. Who would have thought, being saved by my long-lost younger brother? I was just as shocked to think that my matchmaking date's adopted brother was my actual brother. We shared many feelings and stories in that hospital room. After hearing from Catherine, I immediately got tested and became a bone marrow donor for my brother. And after the bone marrow transplant, my brother made a remarkable recovery. Being identical twins, the bone marrow was a perfect match. So, what's the deal with you and Catherine? What are you talking about? I've been getting regular updates from Catherine. Seems like you two are meeting up frequently, using me as an excuse. After that matchmaking date, Catherine and I met several times because of my brother's situation. With each meeting, I found myself growing fonder of her. So, have you confessed your feelings to her? Well, she must have someone she's interested in, right? If there was such a man, you wouldn't be set up on a blind date with him. Steve, who had just risen from the bed, said with a chuckle. Maybe I should confess my feelings after all. It seems like she's been waiting for you to confess to her, Steve said with a gentle smile. It felt like a dream to be able to laugh and talk like this with Steve after having been apart for so long. Maybe it was my mom who brought us back together, I said pensively. I plan to visit Mom's grave once I'm discharged, remembering our late mother upon hearing Steve's words. Mom always wanted to see you, Steve. Thanks to you, I finally got to. Thank you. Thank you too, Steve, for fighting through your illness and staying with us. Steve and I hugged each other tightly, shoulders touching. And then we closed our eyes, thinking of our late mother. Time flew by quickly after that. See you later, I'm off. Hey, Grace, have you said goodbye to Grandma? Yes, bye Grandma, I'm off now. Standing in front of the home altar, our family bade farewell to our mother. Today is our daughter Grace's special 5th birthday celebration. Not long after that day, Catherine and I started dating, and within a year, we were married. Grace, who was born the following year, turns 5 this year. Hey, do you think this dress looks good on me? It looks wonderful on you. Oh, let's take a photo later. Do you think Uncle Steve will be happy to see me in this dress? Of course, he will be thrilled. Yay. Grace was over the moon at Catherine's words. Steve, who is still single, dotes on Grace as if she were his own daughter, and Grace is very fond of him. One day, I want to marry Uncle Steve. The things she comes up with. It made me take a trip down memory lane. Indeed, Catherine and I felt that spark between us, leading us to that matchmaking date, and here we are now. It truly was a destined meeting. I believe that one day, when Grace grows up, she'll meet someone who makes her heart skip a beat. As I look to the future, I deeply hope for that day, feeling grateful for having met Catherine and my brother, and for the chance given to us by Tom. I just want to spend every coming moment in happiness. That's what I believe. It was on the weekend in early July. Unusually, I got a call from my younger brother, Jacob. Sorry, bro. I have a favor to ask. There was a hint of urgency in his voice. What's up, Jacob? I've got work as a lifeguard at the beach tomorrow, Sunday. Can you cover for me? Wait, tomorrow? Why the sudden request? Jacob is now in his sophomore year of college. He's a great swimmer and has been working as a lifeguard every summer since last year. I slipped on the stairs and sprained my right ankle, so I can't make it to the beach. Gotcha, alright, I'll step in for you. Thanks, bro. My name is Mike. I graduated from college last year and joined a company that undertakes interior renovations for homes and commercial establishments. The company deals with interior renovations, building refurbishments, and also sells construction materials. I work in the business planning department, mainly gathering information on new products and materials from both domestic and international sources. Luckily, I have tomorrow off. I love the beach just as much as Jacob, and I used to work as a lifeguard during my college days. Covering for Jacob was no big deal. And then it's Sunday. The temperature had already surpassed 80 degrees Fahrenheit by morning. By midday, the beach was crowded. It was almost time for a break. I was heading towards a secluded spot near some rocks. That's when I noticed a straw hat fluttering in the wind beyond the rocks. Just after, a young girl chased after the hat, and the next moment, she fell into the water, fully clothed. Did she just fall in with her clothes on? She's in trouble. I have to help her. I sprinted to where I saw her. I dove into the water, grabbed the drowning girl's arm, and pulled her to safety. She was panicking and flailing, probably from the shock. That was scary. It's okay now, just relax. That's when I started swimming towards the shore. Suddenly, I heard the roaring sound of an engine. Wait, is that a jet ski? That's bad. It's heading straight to us and it's going fast. I pushed the girl with the floaty with all my might towards the shore. Immediately after, ouch, I felt a sharp pain in my head and lost consciousness. Next thing I knew, I was being rushed to the hospital in an ambulance someone had called. When I woke up, I was looking at a white ceiling and white walls. Where am I? My head felt foggy. Oh, I must have gotten injured while trying to save that drowning girl. Next to my bed, Jacob and Mom were sitting. When Jacob noticed I was awake, he shouted, "Bro, you're finally awake. Mom, go get the doc." Mom rushed out of the room in a hurry. "Bro, I'm sorry. If I hadn't asked you to cover my shift, this wouldn't have happened." Jacob looked like he was about to cry and bowed his head. "Don't apologize. It's not your fault." Soon after, Mom and the attending doctor entered the room. According to the doctor, a jet ski had grazed my head, and a wave pushed me into a rock, injuring my head. Full recovery in a month. Apparently, I still need to be hospitalized for a while. What about the girl? Is she okay? She's fine. The girl's mother called the ambulance for you. That's a relief. The next day, a beautiful woman in her 30s visited the hospital. "Thank you, Mike, for saving my daughter." "That must be the girl's mother." "Is your daughter okay? Did she get hurt?" "Thanks to you, she didn't have a scratch, but I heard about your injury. How can I ever apologize?" Tears welled up in her eyes as she kept bowing in gratitude. "Oh, I'll be fine in about a month. Please, no more apologies." She stopped bowing. The woman handed me a thick envelope with money to cover the cost for my hospital stay, which seemed to have about $10,000. "I can't accept this. Lifeguards have insurance, so I'm good." So I asked her to take it back. After a while, I was finally discharged. "Bro, that scar on your forehead is quite noticeable," Jacob pointed out, and when I looked in the mirror, there was a 2-inch scar near my left temple. The next day, when I went to work, I was called into HR. Though it was an unforeseen accident, I had been absent for a month. I expected some sort of reprimand, but they said, "Mike, you've been transferred." Wait, transferred? I was sent to a subsidiary in Nebraska that deals with interior construction materials. My job was to manage the materials ordered by the headquarters and deliver them to our affiliates. Basically, it was like warehouse management. Since then, every day was just about getting through the same routine at work. I wonder when I can return to the headquarters. As I spend each day brooding, about 4 months later, I received a postcard. It was an invitation to the wedding party of my high school buddy, Ken. Well, he's getting hitched too. I bet many of our old classmates will be there. This will be a nice change of pace. That's what I thought, looking forward to my friend's wedding day. As the day arrived, excited about seeing my classmates after such a long time, I headed to the venue. On my way there, "Is that her?" I bumped into a familiar face on the train. "Is that Natalie?" As I called out, she turned around. "Oh my, Mike, it's been ages." Back in high school, Natalie and I were both on the swim team. When we became seniors, I was the captain of the boys' team and Natalie was the captain of the girls' team. She quickly noticed a scar on my forehead and asked, "Mike, how did you get that scar?" When I told her about the day I worked as a lifeguard, filling in for my brother, she said, "That's so like you, Captain Mike. I bet for that girl, you became a hero." Feeling a bit embarrassed, I replied, "Oh come on, it's not like that. Don't tease me," and laughed it off. At the wedding reception, many asked about the scar on my forehead. Then Robert, who got a job at a local printing plant, said with a smirk, "Mike, I heard even though you landed a job at a big company, you're just managing inventory in some rural place. Did you mess up? Demoted?" He was always the kind to look down on others. As I thought, some things never change, Natalie and a few others started saying, "Robert, was that really necessary? Robert, that's low," and there was a commotion. Feeling outnumbered, Robert quickly retreated to another table. Except for Robert, my classmates treated me like a hero for risking my own safety to save a girl. The wedding turned out to be a pleasant diversion for me. However, once I returned to my daily life, the monotony continued. Day after day, it's just inventory management. I started thinking, soon all this inventory stuff will be done by AI, and they'll probably cut jobs here. These were the anxious thoughts that occupied my mind. After the wedding, I kept in touch with Natalie. During our conversations, I learned she worked for a renovation company. As our jobs were similar, we had a lot to talk about. We discussed interior designs, and despite differences in our clientele, our discussions were always captivating. "Natalie, you always put in the effort to learn. That hasn't changed since high school." She replied, "Mike, you know a lot about imported materials. I really need to learn more and expand my knowledge," showing genuine interest in our conversations. Before long, we started going out to various places, just the two of us. Eventually, we started hanging out more, whether it was going to cafes or theme parks, but our discussions inevitably turned to work topics like, "The artwork on this wallpaper is so tasteful," or "The color combination of this flooring and door is impeccable." Spending time with Natalie, who I could easily talk to, was truly enjoyable and precious. Though my personal life was quite fulfilling, my professional life was not. Unbelievably, the situation I had dreaded came true. The company decided to leave all stock management to AI, and once again, I was handed a transfer order. Now they're sending me to handle order management at a regional subsidiary. They keep moving me around. I realized I'd probably never return to the headquarters. I guess employees like me, just a cog in the machine, are replaceable, right? On the day my transfer was confirmed, I had plans to have dinner with Natalie. I dreaded breaking the news of my transfer to her. With that in mind, it's best to tell her sooner rather than later. So I told her, "Natalie, they've decided to transfer me to a regional subsidiary." Natalie hesitated for a moment before asking, "Is that what you want, Mike? Do you think you'll find meaningful work there?" Honestly, I hadn't really considered that. Meaningful work? I doubt it. While I struggled to find words, Natalie continued. What do you really want to do, Mike? What I want to do? That question brought back memories. When I first joined my current company, I'd spent every day visiting different commercial buildings, aiming to develop my own design style. On days off, I'd even travel to commercial centers in other states, seeking as much feedback as possible from store owners and managers. It was a hectic time, but I felt so fulfilled back then. I don't think the next place will have what I'm looking for. Upon hearing this, Natalie looked me squarely in the eyes and said, Mike, how about we hire you? Do you want to fully engage in what you love at our place? What? Their place? Did she mean she'd introduce me to her company? As I stood there confused, Natalie handed me a business card. Renovation Inc., Vice President, Natalie Sawyer. Wait, Vice President? Surprised, I kept glancing between the card and Natalie. She chuckled and explained, it's my dad's company. He's more of a hands-on craftsman type, so I mainly handle the communication with our partners and employees. Apparently, she began working part-time at her dad's firm right after starting college and fell in love with the job. My dad probably wanted my brother to take over, but he became an internist, so I decided I'd work twice as hard to make up for it, she shared. She went on. Having been in this industry for 5 years and talking with you, Mike, I think you're incredibly knowledgeable and curious. Working with someone like you could really make our company something special. By the time she finished speaking, everything had sunk in for me. Without any hesitation or doubt, I decided to join Natalie's company. Her father, the CEO, was just as I'd heard, a quiet craftsman at heart. Despite being the head of the company, he spent most of his time on site, valuing hands-on work. That's why the CEO is rarely in the office. Most of the in-house affairs were handled by Natalie. She had always been an overachiever, having been admitted to a top-tier university right out of high school. She managed everything from finance, negotiations with partners, marketing, to general affairs all by herself. I did go to college, but as a scholarship athlete in swimming, I barely studied. I only began studying the renovation industry after joining last year, so I still had a lot to learn. I can't wait to start working as Natalie's right-hand man. With that determination, I made a fresh start. It's been a month since I began working at her company. Finally, I'm getting the hang of the job. One evening, Natalie gave me a call. Mike, I'm sorry. My brother said he's coming to the company tomorrow. She sounded pretty panicked. I mean, it's fine. Why are you apologizing? When I asked, she explained. Her brother is 12 years older than her and extremely overprotective, almost excessively so. Apparently, when she told him she was dating someone from the company, he said, I'm gonna see what kind of guy he is with my own eyes tomorrow, and then hung up. I see. So, I'm getting interviewed by your brother tomorrow. Haven't been this nervous in a while. I joked, which finally made Natalie laugh. I have a younger brother, 3 years apart, so I don't know what it's like to have a sister. Given the age gap, he must really dote on her. With those thoughts, I went to bed that night. The next day, just about 20 minutes before lunchtime, her brother showed up. He immediately asked about my college and then made a face. What, you went to that uni for sports freaks? He scoffed. What's wrong with that? Mike was the only one from our school to make it to the state championships in high school. Besides, the college has nothing to do with his job, Natalie quickly retorted. But there's no way I can approve of a guy who's dumber than my sister, her brother insisted. Just then, a woman holding a little girl's hand walked in. Both the woman and I looked at each other in surprise. Wait a minute, isn't that the girl and her mom from the beach? Oh, Mike, I can't thank you enough for what you did. The girl's mother rushed over, deeply bowing her head. Thanks to you, Rita's been able to live her life happily. After hearing that, Natalie's brother looked shocked and asked, "What? You're the one who saved Rita's life?" and then looked at me again. His wife added, "The scar on Mike's forehead is from when he saved Rita. I don't know how to apologize for such a large scar." Thanks to her explanation, it seemed he finally understood. "Mike, I deeply apologize for my earlier rude remarks," he said, bowing his head. "No, it's okay. I have a brother too, so I can understand how you feel about your sister. Please, raise your head." Things finally started making sense in my head. Turns out he's not only Natalie's brother, but also the father of the girl, Rita, whom I'd saved at the beach. Later on, Natalie and I enjoyed the fancy steak lunch that her brother and his wife had brought as a gesture of gratitude. "Good thing I got your brother's approval," I told her with a sigh of relief. "Who would have thought that you had saved my niece? My brother won't have any issues with you now," Natalie said with a laugh. After that, thanks to Natalie's brother, I was able to attend night classes at an interior design school. As a token of gratitude for saving little Rita, Natalie's brother paid the full tuition for me. Being fairly new to the home renovation industry, I gratefully accepted his generosity. Now, I may be recognized as the man who saved Rita, but someday I want to be recognized as Natalie's right-hand man at work, and also as a man who can support her. I'm determined to prove myself to her brother and the boss. I made this promise to myself once again.